you in? All right. Hey there. Welcome back to Covenant Therapy Marriage Ministry. I'm Janine.
I'm Teray.
And tonight we are bringing to you a topic that is very personal for us. It's something that we went through that was really traumatic. God was good and we recovered. But a lot of marriages don't recover from the topic that we're going to talk about tonight. We shared with you, our jealousy issues. We shared with you our verbal abuse and control issues. But tonight we're going to talk about adultery. And we're going to talk about it in a way where we're going to basically break it down.
Yeah.
This is how we got there. Right. And then we're going to follow that up with what we discovered while we were there and then how we worked through it. So hopefully this will help you if you are in a place where you're contemplating this action, or if you're in a place where this is already a part of your relationship and you want to be healed and restored from it. Hopefully what we share with you tonight will minister to your hearts and be able to help turn things around for you. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this over to you, babe.
Yeah. So first of all, there are any number of reasons why anybody would cheat in their relationship or in their marriage. One of the things I want to say that it is very hard to deal with.
It is.
It does take both people to recover from it. There is restoration to encourage you. There is restoration, in it if you guys are working together to work through it, and don't get into the stigma, of once a cheater, always a cheater, and listening to once again the negatives that people will say. This is between you and your spouse, and God and whoever's helping you to work through this. It doesn't need to be out there, for everybody else to have an opinion and input, into your relationship and into your, your situation. So it's in covering how we got there, it was, well, first of all, if you're completely, satisfied in your marriage, then there's no reason, to have to go outside of your relationship anyway. If you're perfectly content, everything is working out, and this is not everybody's issue.
That's right.
So this is really, for those who have struggled with this, had to deal with this, but it's not something to be taken lightly. Once again, this is a topic that we have worked through and have gotten over. We share this information at our events.
On the other side.
Yeah, definitely on the other side.
A long time since.
Yeah, many years ago. And we do share this information at our events, and when we talk to couples, we do bring this up, in case that they are working through it, and some are, and or some that have. We do need to make sure that healing is taking place so that they can move forward. Another thing is, if you're not happy, in your relationship, once again, don't use those tools, as a means to justify your infidelity.
Yeah, or those issues. Don't use those issues as an excuse to do something. The stuff that we went through, I should not have used that as I'm trying to go out here and do this. You know what I mean? That's not, one doesn't justify the other. However, it feels that way, Yeah.
But that doesn't make it right. Two wrongs never make a right. We talked about communication. Communication should have been the thing to have happened, throughout all of that. And we could have really, probably been better off if we would have learned how to communicate about the things that we were dealing with
From the start, yeah.
a long time ago,
Yeah, and I just want to say that, so a lot of people think that adultery or cheating sort of happens all on its own, no contributing factors, justify, and that part is true. But a family member coined the phrase that adultery doesn't happen in a vacuum, and I love that because it doesn't. There's a lot of factors that contribute to make that idea acceptable to the person who does it. So as an example, and we'll get to this, but when Teray did cheat, that was his choice, and it was a bad choice. But the truth is, would he have made that choice if the environment that we had created in our marriage was different? He probably would never have made that choice because it wouldn't have been a temptation at that time. So when we say that adultery doesn't happen in a vacuum, there are always environmental things. I'll just
definitely
say
other factors involved
that contribute to making that idea an acceptable option, if that makes sense. I hope that I just said that correctly, but yeah. So just know that it's not an excuse. It doesn't fly as an excuse. But would the temptation have been there if the circumstances were different?
All right, absolutely. And that's why communication is so important. I could imagine, thank God that we are definitely on the other side of that. But, what if? What if we would have been able to have what we have now if we would have known better, and dealt with things a different way? So things in my past that I had to work through, things in your past that you had to work through, if we would have been able to get to the bottom of all of that beforehand, we probably would have been in a much, much better place than where we were. So once again, we talked about how we got there. So the situation was kind of like go back to our previous episodes where we talked about these things, jealousy, control, verbal abuse, unfulfilled expectations, and the differences that we have with each other, not knowing how to effectively communicate or work through them, taking things to heart, the way that we did when we were saying those things, or being that kind of person, not fully understanding how past relationships affected our current relationship, that we were in. That's where some of the jealousy came from. And
some of it was caused by, or let's say exacerbated, because it was already there, but exacerbated by, the overly
friendliness. Yeah. And once again, none of those things should have been used as an excuse to go and seek that from outside, of my marriage.
Because the truth is, it didn't make you feel any better. It just added guilt to the problem.
Right. And then you gotta get over that. You gotta work through that.
The shame, the guilt, the hopes you don't find out.
Yeah, it's not worth the mess that you have to deal with afterwards.
True.
Now, let me put it this way. If you're trying to keep your marriage intact, it's not worth any of that mess. People that are out there that are doing this with no conscience, why are you married, in the first place? If you've listened to us before and that was the question, like, you guys went through a lot, then why did you even stay married in the first place when, you could have gotten a divorce and gone a different direction? And we could say theoretically that we may not have gone through any of that stuff with somebody else. Theoretically. It doesn't matter who you get with. You're still going to have to go through challenges. They're just going to be different challenges.
We would have just taken all that mess into another relationship.
Right. And we separated on numerous occasions. Like, there's been times where we lived apart. We lived apart in the same apartment, because we were too broke
to our story
to actually get a divorce and actually separate. I didn't have a job, at one point, and it's like, well, I'm just moving to the other room, and took all my stuff and went but that's what we did at that time, and other times that didn't necessarily have to do with adultery, but every time we split up, we got along great.
Always.
And that's one of the reasons why we knew that, okay, so this isn't meant for us to do. We just need to figure out what the root causes to these problems are and learn how to get them out of the way so that we can come back together and have a healthy relationship, raise our children.
We saw it was possible.
It was definitely possible. We just didn't know how to do it, with who we were and what we were dealing with. So the main point of all it is get to the root cause of the issues, get them out of the way, and then you're looking at having a prosperous marriage, a prosperous relationship, being a good example to your children, and then pleasing to God for keeping your marriage intact and doing it the right way. So we went to counseling,
we went to counseling on base when we were in the military. We were still at Pearl Harbor, right? We were in Pearl Harbor. And we went to counseling on base. And they were like, I don't think we can help you. You might need to go out in the town, like so outside of the base, and seek professional help.
You try to go get help, and they tell you they can't help you. It don't look too good.
It's not very encouraging.
It don't look too good.
It's not very encouraging. So we did not go seek help outside off the base.
It was kind of sad because, like, but you supposed to be the one that really, like, we that bad that you got basically kicking us out of your office, telling you ain't nothing you could do for us? Like,
yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty embarrassing.
Come on, son. Like, that's ridiculous.
And you went to school where?
Right. I mean, maybe we don't trust you.
It ain't us, it's you.
You need a new job, player.
Yes, we don't have the problem. It's you. Right. You have the problem.
Right. You need to fix yourself. Matter of fact, how can we help you?
Sit on this couch.
Right.
Tell us about your dreams.
Oh, yeah, it was,
yeah.
The way we laugh about it now, it wasn't funny back then, but I think we still walked out of that office kind of like, dang.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how we walked out of that office.
What the heck is going on? And it was so, that was a hurtful experience because I think it took us both back, like, okay, how screwed up are we?
Right, we're in pretty bad shape. That people trained to help people like us
can't do
help
it.
us.
Like, y'all might as well just
hang it up,
cancel Christmas.
Well, and we tried. If you remember, I was so angry with you when we moved out. So we were on base and we moved out of the base, and I remember being so frustrated and angry, and I just was so tired and over the whole thing, and I did want a divorce. And do you remember that God kept telling me to stay? Every time I would open my Bible to read it, I feel like I would come across that scripture that would tell you, not to get a divorce, because if you remarry, you're committing adultery. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't want that. And then I was like, and I felt like, I just kept going back and forth. I remember I was so angry one time at God because I didn't want to stay. I threw my Bible. I read that stinking scripture. I said, you know what? And I threw my Bible across the room because I was just done. Like, I'm tired. I don't want to be here anymore. But God knew what was on the other side. And he knew who we were. And he knew what we had in us. And he could use that situation to pull some stuff out of us, and he did, and here we are today. Yeah, way on the other side now, helping other people go through some of the things that we were through. So
and also dealing with the other issues that we had to deal with and get over, and what we discovered though was that it's definitely not easy. Kind of like what you were just talking about. It's not easy.
Not for the faint of heart.
It's not, it's not. It's not something. It's not a walk in the park, so to speak. It takes time. It takes patience, understanding, definitely forgiveness, lots of prayer, and it takes both people,
and
doing what it takes to make right choices and right decisions. So definitely commitment, to. Once again, you said before about reaching the goal. Mm-hmm. And the goal is, in that situation, the goal would be to get to a place of healing so that you can repair, rebuild and revive your marriage and continue to move forward. But it's not a walk in the park.
I've actually counseled people because so many people, it is a hard thing for people to get over. And the Bible does say, basically you can't get a divorce for any reason other than adultery. And I think it's because, first of all, it's such a betrayal, and it's not, it is not easy to deal with. And I think that I've counseled people this way, whether it's wrong or right, I'll just be honest, that if you can't push through, if you can't put in the work, if you both are not going to put in the work, hang it up and just get a divorce. Because to get to the other side of adultery, you have to work like nobody's business. You have to pretend that you're like a 500-pound person trying to lose weight, and you got to work. You know, what was that TV show? Biggest Loser. Oh, okay. That's what it is. The Biggest Loser. And I mean, they were putting them people through the ringer. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that, you know, the average person could do some of the stuff that they had these people doing. But that's what I'm thinking. That's what's in my head, is that, you know, I mean, it is a for real challenge to work through adultery and to come back healthy. I mean, and I don't know, maybe we'll get to this later, but I mean, I even remember, like, our sex life was wrecked behind that. Yeah. It was wrecked. I mean, because when you lose trust, when you lose confidence, when you feel betrayed, like, that is the last thing that is on your mind. Right. Like, touch me and you're losing a finger. Or, you know, or there were times where, you know, because, you know, we have to stay connected, and, you know, we have needs, because here we go. That's the last thing. Cut it off, so you have to go out and, you know,
make that open the door for another issue to arise to cause the same problem again.
Yeah, but there were times where I remember, like, praying through it, because I, for real, at that time, hated you so much. I mean, it was hard. It is not an easy challenge. So if you are trying to go this route, and I suggest that you try, just know that you're in for a lot of work. It is not easy. It is hard. Every step, you're working hard for every step that you take. But there is another side. You just have to go through it.
Yeah, and some of our communication lessons have come through working through this particular issue. You know, learning how to have those hard conversations. There's a lot of hard conversations that you can have, but that's got to be tops. You know, one of the top,
definitely a topper.
Tops of difficult conversations to have, and learning how to have those conversations. You know, in a way that doesn't continue to bring up more hurt, but learning how to have the conversation and being able to heal, not move past it and move forward and move on. So I'm sorry is not the catch-all to make everything okay. It is a step in the right direction, but it doesn't complete the course. You know, it's a beginning, but it's not the end-all be-all, because you apologize and express your deep sorrow, you know, for doing, you know, such a thing. Even if you can get to the place to explain, you know, the reasons why, you know, feeling rejected, you know, or because of this or because of that, you know, or whatever it is, still doesn't make it go away, because you finally had that conversation. There are emotions involved. The covenant has been broken. The trust covenant has been broken. Yep. And that has to be rebuilt and has to be restored on both parties. You know, so it's definitely going to take some working through. Broken trust is not easy to restore, especially in this area. And and like you said, but I will say this, you know, is make at least the commitment to try to work together.
That should be your
divorce shouldn't be the first answer. It should be the last. You know, after you've given your best effort, you know, then consider that as, you know, the last resort for you to take, if it's at all possible. Some people, unfortunately, marriages are already falling apart, and people have already formed relationships with other people. So the only thing they need to have is when are we going to end this? You know, that's a whole different situation. If you're still trying to work this out, bring the family back together, or bring your marriage back together, then understand that it is going to take time. It's going to take effort on both parts. It's going to take healing, you know, that has to be emotional, spiritual, physical, all of that. You're going to have to set new healthy boundaries to protect yourself from not going back into that direction again. The pitfalls are going to be there. If you have to change your friend zone, with the people that you're hanging around, so that they're not trying to convince you to do something that you shouldn't be doing. If they're a major influence in your life, then you're going to need to change that, change some habits, change some of the places where you used to hang out. These are the things that you're going to need to do in order to restore your relationship. It doesn't, I'm not going to say that if you do those, it makes it go by quicker. Once again, men, if you were like me and you're the one who stepped out in your marriage and you're thinking, okay, I need to fix this. How can I fix this? There's not a fix that you can do.
It's not a quick fix. Let's just say that. It's not a quick fix.
I won't even say we can say the word fix, because a lot of times in our mind, fix is something I can do it real fast and it's supposed to work and take place. That's why I'm saying it's not a fix. This is a process. This thing is a process. So it's not a fix. There are multiple changes that need to be done, in order for you to protect yourself and protect your wife from having to go through this, again. And if you have those fail safes in place, then you do stand a better chance of not falling into those same traps. And if you're both working together and you've talked about the issues, the reasons or whatever you want to call them, the hurtful things that happen, getting to the root of why that happened in the first place, then you also stand a better chance of not repeating yourself and doing that again. But it's both people, and it's not this is your fault. I did this because of you, and you ain't do. If you was this kind of wife, then I wouldn't have to go out there and man, don't even go there with that.
Yeah, it's definitely not a blame thing, and it's definitely, so when you're talking about, talking through the reasons why and exploring sort of like, okay, how did we get here, things like that. The idea is you own what you did, and then you look and say, okay, so how do we make this a healthy relationship? You know what I'm saying? We each have our faults. I can't blame you for mine, and you can't blame me for yours. We have to own our own part, and we have to work on ourselves. And then we have to support each other while we're trying to work on ourselves, because, a lot of times, and in our experience, and I'll just say probably the majority of our experience is men that sort of feel this way. Men think when there's some, I don't know why, but I don't know, it's just an emotional difference. And when you do the stepping out and you come back, and however it comes to light, and you say you're sorry and you own it, and then you almost think, well, why aren't you over this? I'm over it. I said I was sorry, so why aren't you? Why can't we move on? I said I was sorry, and it's almost like the people that we have encountered in these scenarios is sort of like they don't comprehend that what they did. Okay, maybe it wasn't deep for you,
right?
But it was deep for the other person,
right?
And that has to be healed before you can ever move forward. And again, it's not overnight. It ain't quick. And it's going to take a lot of trust building.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, the person who broke the trust is going to have to do a lot of work to build the trust, because it's now broken, and you have to show that you can be trusted again. And it's what do I always say? It's easier to maintain than it is to regain. And that's part of the problem. Like, it's just hard to regain that trust. And then for us, I already was jealous. I already had experienced that. So that was definitely not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It just took a long time, and everybody is different. You had a couple, quick one night stand sort of scenarios. You didn't have like year-long relationships with people. That would have taken it to a whole nother level. I don't know if I could have handled that. I mean, I don't.
Some people do that.
And that adds a whole nother dynamic of lost trust. So there's just a lot. There's a lot that goes into this one specific topic. So but those are some of the things that we discovered as we were trying to work through all of this, and what we have learned now on the other side.
Yeah, and it definitely showed us more about ourselves. And that's something else that's more important. When you're talking about owning it, you have to look at you.
Yep, you do.
You have to. We say fault finding, and you can't use those things to blame the other person. You have to look at yourself and take a good look, at yourself.
Yeah, sort of like what made me susceptible to this.
Right.
You know, and then for me, knowing that I created such a toxic environment, why did I do that? What are my insecurities that led to the toxic environment in the first place? So yeah, so me not taking ownership for your adultery and you not blaming me for your adultery, I had my issues, you had yours, and we had to work through them.
And it wasn't you know, you work on you for my sake. It's me work on me.
Yep.
You know, and
because we want to be pleasing to God in all things.
Right. And you can't make somebody change.
You know, sure can't.
They have to want to change on their own. And that's another a good lesson to learn, you know, in any situation in your relationship. You know, you're trying to force somebody to do something or be somebody that you want them to be. It's only going to be a temporary thing because they're doing it to try to please you. But eventually, who they are is still who they are, and that's going to come up unless they are trying to work on themselves. So we always, you know, will get to the place where in our conversations with other people is, you know, yes, you can pray for your spouse, but you can't make them do anything. You know, the best thing you can do is make sure you're focusing on you and praying, you know, for them, that God will open their eyes and that they can see, you know, see themselves and want to, you know, change. And God will honor that. You know what I'm saying? God will honor. You just got to you have to stay, once again, deliberate and intentional in your prayers, and then being who God has called you to be as a person, as an individual, and as a man or woman of God. And then let God do what he needs to do with your spouse. All right.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Did you finish your point there?
I think so.
Good, because I was going to move on to the next one.
Oh, go ahead.
But I don't want to cut you off because I love you. And I think what you're saying is valuable. So
yeah. Let me interject this thing into real quick because, you know, a lot of people, and whether people are joking about this or not, you know, that whole happy wife, happy life thing, you know, sometimes, unfortunately, this plays into one of the things that plays into adultery today, is because people are looking at the only way for my marriage to work is for me to do whatever it takes to make my wife happy. And unfortunately, in doing so, you're neglecting yourself and your own needs. And then when you start to feel rejected, you know, that's an open door and opportunity for you to start looking elsewhere. When you feel like you're putting your needs met because you're so busy. You're all in and not getting out. So just be aware and be careful with that mentality.
Well, I think that's a lie. I think it's a manipulative lie that people buy into, and it's very selfish and one-sided. If you're going to go by any slogan, it really needs to be a happy spouse, happy house, because that's mutual. That's mutually like supportive and mutually like beneficial, and we're meeting each other's needs. It's not about you meeting my needs and I'm over here ho-hum doing my own thing. Like that other thing, I know it probably started out trying to be funny, but that is not cute. That's not funny. And if that's your mentality, you should probably change it, because it's one-sided, it's lopsided, and you know, just anything that's lopsided don't run right.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? And you're going to leave somebody neglected, and where you're not filling that gap, somebody's going to come along and try to fill that gap for you. So
that opportunity will present itself, you know. So then the way we work through this, once again, a lot of prayer, a lot of patience,
lots of
you
prayer.
know, forgiveness, some good people that didn't kick us out of the counseling.
Oh, yes. We had some beloved Christian counselors who loved us through the mess and will testify of the goodness of God.
Yes.
Because of who we were and who we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, you know, and it wasn't many different conversations, you know. They created, this is another thing that we learned from them. They created a mutually safe environment for us to have conversation about our thoughts, about our feelings, about how we felt about each other. And even after some of the hard parts of the conversation, there may have been a couple of times where we left where we just didn't say much to each other, you know, and that's to be expected when you're bringing up emotions.
Yeah, hard, and personal, sensitive.
Yeah, that's
issues.
But when you have people that know how to mediate, and talk, not be on each other's side, but only on the side that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How can you argue with the truth, and what's right? And so a lot of humbling involved, on both of our parts. If you're going to somebody, or preferably a couple, that way again, you get both sides, of
out of balance.
Of the advice from man's point of view, from woman's point of view,
from a married couple who are successful.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go see some, a single person, but we believe that it works best when you go through marriage counseling with a married couple. I know there are a lot of pastors out there that do marriage counseling, and it may be just the husband, or maybe just the wife, or the man or the woman if they're not married, and that's fine. Not condemning it, not saying anything bad about it. It's just we believe that it's better if you go to two people, a husband and a wife.
Yeah, from our experience, it's more balanced.
It definitely brings more balance when working through those things. And then don't forget committing to the goal. We had to make that a priority to restore the covenant that was broken. And it was every little step, that we took was a step towards restoring and rebuilding, what was lost.
Mm-hmm.
And it took time, it took effort, part of that communication trick or nugget, that we shared about using kind words, in those arguments, I think came out of, trying to rebuild and restore our relationship after, the adultery, how to do all of this the right way, to end up with what we want, and we wanted to have a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship that we can be happy with, that we know is possible. This was we've said it before, we didn't know how to get there. Going through this helped us learn how to get where we are. Mm-hmm. And once again, it wasn't an overnight success sort of thing. It took a long time because we still needed to get to know each other and learn
each other, really,
on these issues and dig up those old roots. The hardest part was probably getting to know us and emptying ourselves of old mess, so that we can start new. And it started with just me and you, not with me, you, your past, and my past. It was getting rid of all of that stuff so that it could just be me and you creating our future.
Yeah. Yep.
And that happened. When that happened for us, we could actually see, the difference in the change, then a lot changed for us.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, and I know we talk about this often, but there's a reason that we talk about it often. And for us, the application of what we were advised.
Yes.
Don't be so quick to run around advice hopping. Don't do that. Stick with somebody, put their advice into practice, and trust the process.
Yeah.
If you jump around from person to person, just hoping somebody's going to tell you what you want to hear. I mean, definitely whoever you choose that's going to be, your advisor, your marriage coach, make sure that you trust them, that they're solid people in the Word, have successful marriages of their own, and give solid advice. But don't hop around hoping to hear what you want to hear. That is not going to help you. You need to apply what you're being taught. That's what we did. We applied it, whether we liked it or we didn't like it. We applied it and we saw results because we did what we were supposed to do with it. Mm-hmm. That is the difference. I can tell you the people that we've helped and the people that didn't get the help they were hoping for. The people that applied it were successful, and the people that did not apply it, that always thought we were placing blame, that thought, that we were one-sided when we weren't, things like that, those people just weren't nearly as successful because they didn't apply it. They couldn't own their own part, and they just didn't apply what we were trying to teach them, the skills we were trying to teach them, the techniques we were trying to teach them. They just wouldn't apply it. So So I think that that's really one of the keys to being successful. I mean, you listed off a lot of them, but that's definitely one of them, is that advice.
Yeah. And another one I think is, you got a hair.
I felt it.
Is another key thing is, I know that we love our parents. Keep mom and them out. Don't invite your family, if at all possible. Don't invite your family into serious situations like this automatically. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of us have parents that can be objective and try to lead you in the right direction for what's right. A lot of people also have the same parents that will automatically take their child's side, and
whether they're right or wrong,
right,
just
and want to guard their child, or if you got somebody else in your family that it can get messier the more people you invite into your situation.
And then once you're over it and you've forgiven them and you're trying to work things out, your family is still stuck on, but they did this, and they're not forgiving them because they don't think you should forgive them. So then it creates another mess when you're trying to heal and restore your relationship with your spouse. So
be careful of that.
Be real mindful of the things that you share.
It's easy to confide in family members that you're close to. Just be mindful of, think in advance, like what we're saying. You might let go and you might forgive, but because they love you, it may not be easy for them to let go. So just be mindful of that. So once again, healthy boundaries, ownership, forgiveness, learning how to let go of the past. These are the things that helped us to get to where we are now and moving on beyond that. You can see how we can still have a serious conversation, but still, find some light in it, lightheartedness about it. That shows that we are truly healed from it, and it's not anything that hurts us, but we are able to share this information, with other people because of the experience that we did have. But now we have definitely moved on, from it. And God has done a wonderful work in us for us to be where we are.
Yes.
Yep. You want to finish this out?
Sure. Well, I hope you like that. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Again, it's something that's very personal for us, and we share it because we hope that it helps people. So we hope that you were able to receive what we shared tonight, that it ministered to your heart, that if this is something that you're concerned about, an issue that you guys are personally experiencing yourself, that you'll be able to take some of what we said this evening and take it to heart and start applying it and seeing those results. By all means, if you need prayer in this area, place something in the comments so that we know to pray for you specifically.
Definitely.
And if you need to talk offline, just sort of message us and we'll be glad to meet with you. But just take what we've said here tonight and apply it to your life, and you will definitely start to see some things turn around for you. But we would definitely love to pray with you for sure. And as always, if you like what you hear, please, go out there, subscribe, like our episodes, subscribe to our channel, share it with other people, hit your alerts, set up your alerts so you get our new content when it drops. That's on YouTube. That's also on, if you listen just to the podcast and not the video, wherever you tune into podcasts. So if that's, was it iTunes, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you can pull up a podcast, you can find us pretty much. So, just do the same thing out there. Set up your alerts, like our episodes. Leave comments for us, please. We would love to hear your thoughts about our episodes, our content. So, again, we love getting together with you. We love connecting with you. We love sharing with you. Hopefully it is ministering to you. And really, until next time.
Oh, yeah.
Just speaking kidding. Of which, not till next time.
No. Speaking of which, by the time this airs, Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. God bless you and your family. 2021, still had its challenges. Yes. 2022 is around the corner.
A blessed new year for you.
Yep. And it's going to have its challenges, but just like you made it through 2021, you can make it through 2022. Yes. And just look forward to having an awesome year. So God bless you all. We've got so much more coming, up in 2022. As we talked about our vision board, so hopefully you're getting your vision board. Maybe we'll share some stuff with you that's on our vision board. And always, we'll always invite, everyone to the events that we have planned coming up next year. So I almost forgot, but I just want to throw that out there. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yes.
God bless you all. And we'll see you next time.
That's right.